Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has had enough. It looks like she's preparing to run for governor on the Republican ticket. She is GOP. She is going to be a candidate, I imagine, and will announce soon. She's currently chairwoman of the House Republican Leadership, House Armed Services Committee. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, welcome to the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Great to be with you again, Brian.
Before I get to the endorsement, which I think has just been a train wreck since she announced it, what do you say to those people that are worried about affordability?
Affordability is a top issue in New York, and it's because of single-party Democrat rule. Democrats have controlled New York State and New York City for decades. We are the highest tax state in the nation, the most burdensome regulation, the most anti-business, anti-family state in terms of our policies. So while Democrats want to shout affordability, it's their policies, their radical far-left tax and spend policies that have made New York City and New York the most unaffordable city and state in the country. And Republicans are going to continue to put forth solutions such as cutting taxes. I was proud to be the deciding vote for the largest tax cut for New Yorkers in the One Big Beautiful Bill. That, of course, is working with President Trump to cut taxes. What did all the Democrats want, like Kathy Hochul? They wanted the largest tax increase in our nation's history, which would have been even more burdensome for New Yorkers. So we're going to face this issue head on and deliver actual solutions instead of doubling down on the train wreck.
And Congresswoman, what about freezing rents? Are you going to do that?
We need to cut the cost to do building and make investments. That is what's driving this housing unaffordability issue, is the regulatory environment, the tax environment. New York is the least friendly state in the country to do business, which is why you're seeing so many businesses flee. And the reality is, when Mamdani talks about free this, free that, freeze the rent, free, X, Y, or Z, who's paying for it? It's the working New Yorkers. It's the hardworking Americans who are paying for that with higher and higher taxes. The challenge that's going to happen, Brian, is you have a Democrat, socialist-controlled city council in New York City. And right now, Eric Adams has been a moderating force on that. Zohran Mamdani is going to be a rubber stamp. So if they think the policies are bad now, just wait until Mamdani, an anti-Semite communist, is mayor. It will be a rubber stamp radical shift to the left.
Here is Kathy Hochul. 2 days ago, she decides, I'm going to endorse Zohran Mamdani. And so far, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Hakeem Jeffries, not budging. They're not doing it. Why? Because he's radioactive politically for the Democrats, because this country is not a socialist Marxist country. But listen to Governor Kathy Hochul explain. Cut 36.
I've made it very clear that we have differences. Work with whoever the next mayor will be, and I do believe it'll be Zohran Mamdani. I do not agree with many of his views, but running a state government or a city government is very different. I disagree with many statements, and I've said that. But also, I believe that we need someone who's going to be open-minded and optimistic.
Really? Thanks. Thanks for that endorsement. Open-minded and optimistic. I'll vote for you. Is this all about her trying to neutralize her opponent in the primary?
Absolutely. This is how weak she is, Brian. She is the leader of the New York Democrat Party, and she's letting Zohran Mamdani instead lead her. And what is just really unbelievable is after she endorsed him, less than 24 hours later, he refused to endorse her. He refused to support her for governor. So she's beholden to the far left. This is not just I'm going to work with the mayor. She endorsed him. She's the highest ranking official to do so. And that means she owns the defund the police policies. That means she owns Zohran Mamdani's proposal to abolish private property. That means she owns abolishing not only private property, but abolishing private health care insurance. That means she owns these tax hikes. She owns the anti-Semitism from Zohran Mamdani. So she can't continue to run from this. But what it really is, Brian, is her polling is very bad among Democrat voters. We see it. Obviously, this has been publicly reported. She is desperately trying to shore up her left, and she's beholden to them. I always said it was only a matter of time before she would bend the knee, and she certainly did.
Here it is. Here's how it sounded. Cut 37.
Are you supporting Hochul for re-election? And if so, are you worried that her supporting you is actually going to hurt her among swing voters next year?
I tease you about being an immigrant father, about asking me about the thing beyond the thing. My focus is on November, and I'm excited to have the governor's support in that fight for November as we make it clear that we can put the days of City Hall and Albany being at war in the past.
That's not an endorsement. And Hank Scheinkopf, you know, a longtime political operative on the Democratic side, it said Mamdani looks like he is the head of the Democratic Party. This shows the power shift. Mamdani and his movement are in charge. And other people have said the same thing. But looking from your perspective, I know what you stand for. But you sound like somebody that might not be what the majority of New Yorkers stand for. You sound like what Long Island stands for, what Staten Island stands for, what upstate New York stands for, but not what New York City stands for, which has stopped Republicans from winning. How do you solve that?
Well, Brian, people want common sense. If you look at my record in Congress, I'm in the top most bipartisan members of Congress among all of leadership. I have one of the most independent record on the issues that matter when it is growing the economy, cutting taxes. The majority of New Yorkers agree with that. When it comes to supporting our law enforcement, the majority of New Yorkers agree with that. So I have a record of reaching well beyond party lines. We have a record not only of flipping my district, and yes, it's upstate, but people forget. This was an Obama district. It was held by a Democrat beforehand. Always a 50-50 situation. Yep. We win not only Republicans, we win independents overwhelmingly, and I peel off more than 25% of Democrats. And most importantly, we have enthusiasm to turn out the vote. My district, I have the highest voter turnout of any congressional district in New York State. That doesn't happen by accident. It means people are excited and energized to go to the polls. And we're going to put forth real solutions and a proven record. Let's roll the tape on Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul started her career in Erie County as a town official where she bragged about the Conservative Party endorsement. She bragged about the NRA endorsement to get the vote from upstate. And then she ran for Congress, only served one term because she was thrown out by the voters, and was really the accidental governor because Andrew Cuomo chose her as an LG because of regional issues. She was known to be totally outside of the decision-making process from Andrew Cuomo's perspective, and he wanted to replace her as lieutenant governor. She's accidental because he, of course, stepped down amidst all the controversies that he conducted. But Kathy Hochul will do or say whatever she has to. This is someone who, again, talked about how she was conservative for upstate, and now she's bending the knee to the Marxist communists. She's left New Yorkers so far behind and is putting her political future ahead of hardworking New Yorkers, who she's putting last.
Why is it that Gillibrand, Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries are on the sideline then?
Because they know it's so politically toxic. And Hakeem Jeffries, for those House seats, I mean, his focus is on the House majority. And as you know, it runs right through the state of New York, those key seats on Long Island, the Hudson Valley. And you saw Swazi, you saw Laura Gillen refuse to endorse Mamdani. So Hakeem, I think Hakeem ultimately will bend the knee, as well as Hochul, but they're in a tough spot because he is wildly unpopular among not just Republicans, but Democrats as well.
So, Sienna, by the way, what did you learn from Lee Zeldin getting within, I think, 6 points of Hochul last time?
So, number one, Lee Zeldin ran a great race. He and I came into Congress together, and we actually had sort of similar districts, different parts of the state, but we both flipped districts from Democrat to Republican. What Lee Zeldin proved was that this assumption that New York is a blue state, no state has moved more to the Republican direction than New York, and that started when the congressional seats were won, then Lee Zeldin ran, and then in the presidential, no state moved more Republican with Trump at the top of the ticket than New York. I think Zeldin also tapped into an excitement that it is possible. The fact that he came within 6 points when previously these are, big double-digit losses shows that there is a path in the right year with the right candidate. Zeldin did phenomenal. I mean, I thought he was going to win. So did a lot of people. The energy, enthusiasm was unlike anything we had seen. And we want to build on that. And we're going to have to build on that as Republicans. But it's always tough in New York. The other challenge is we're losing population because of the failed policy. So many people continue to leave. And I think Mamdani is going to expedite that, unfortunately, for the state of New York. But those are our voters. So Zeldin proved a lot, and we need to build on that success.
So Sienna did a poll, released it Tuesday, and it shows that you're trailing 52 to 27. Your thoughts? They sampled 802 people.
Yeah, we've had a long history with Siena polling. Siena polling was totally off, not only on the presidential, but they were totally off on Lee Zeldin's gubernatorial race. What was really laughable out the poll is it says only 60% of Republicans are going to support Elise. That's not reality. I've never gotten less than 90% of Republicans ever in the entire history. We are more energy and enthusiastic among Republican voters. It also says that 60% of conservatives are voting for Kathy Hochul. That is fantasy land. It says that she's, hanging tough in Long Island. The same day that poll came out, there was another poll that showed that 60% of Nassau County voters do not support Kathy Hochul. So, we dove into the data points. Again, typical Siena polling. What I care about is real polling. And I'll tell you, Hochul's endorsement of Mamdani shows that she has major political problems and major polling issues.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know who told her to do that endorsement, but do you think you might be going against somebody else? His lieutenant, Delgado, I think the lieutenant governor?
Well, Delgado also served in the House, and he is running to Kathy Hochul's left.
Yeah.
And what's important for voters to know is that this is not just any lieutenant governor. This is her hand-picked lieutenant governor. He left the congressional seat to be the LG. And to have someone who works that up close and turns on her because she's such an incompetent governor, that tells me a lot. She is going to have a primary with Delgado. And again, Mamdani withholding that support, and the Working Families Party, which dictates where the New York Democrat Party is and runs them to the left. This is going to be very interesting to watch this play out. The other important point about that Siena poll, it was not a coincidence, Brian, that they put it out the same day as her Mamdani endorsement, where they tried to slip that in Sunday night to try to blunt the negative impact among voters.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting that she says, I love Mamdani because he's willing to take on Trump. When has that been a criteria, saying I don't want to work with the president?
Well, the dirty little secret is, and Kathy Hochul won't tell this to her Democrat and far left base, I know, when Congress is in session, I'm in D.C. She runs down to the White House quietly all the time, begs Trump, begs him. She is a weak leader. And, she says one thing, she does another. She wants to hide that from voters. And it's because, the talking point among far left voters is opposition to Trump. Trump is moving our country in the right direction, yet New York continues barreling down this path in the wrong one with single-party Democrat rule.
I tell you what, I was in your district. I had not known, it was the first time ever, even though I'm from New York, Fort Ticonderoga is a feature we have on What Made America Great, my series. So I was up there. It's amazing how beautiful that part of New York is. It would be tough for you to go to Albany.
Fort Ticonderoga is amazing. My district has just a tremendous history. If you look at the battles of the Revolutionary War, it's also home to the battles of Saratoga. And of course, as we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, I hosted a big event with America 250 at Fort Ticonderoga earlier this year. So we really appreciate you highlighting such a gem we have. It's one of my favorite places. I grew up going there, and I've loved representing it in Congress.
I only got a minute left, but on your house, can I tap into your House seat for a second? You're on armed services. Are we in the process of selling Patriot missiles to NATO so they can give them to Ukraine? Because I heard that was being held up.
Well, certainly I have strongly supported President Trump's approach. During his first term, he provided defensive lethal aid, and we are going to continue to work with this administration to make sure that we're protecting, number one, U.S. national security, and that we have a strong partnership with our NATO allies, who President Trump has rightly said they need to increase their investment and not rely on the United States solely. So, that is the update there. I'm not going to get ahead of the president, of course, in his decision making.
All right. When are you going to make your decision and announcement?
After the November elections, Brian, we launched Save Our State PAC, and I'm a big believer. We've done this in my district. You have to lay the groundwork. This is a 62-county state. You have to make sure that Republicans continue to do well. We've made those investments in each of the 62 counties. We have key races, and after this November, I look forward to making my announcement. And we're getting an outpouring of support all across the state.
Well, Congresswoman, you're an impactful force in Washington. We always love having you on. Thanks so much.